Hi everyone, I'm Diana Palm from dianapalm.com, and today we're going to be discussing communicating with your pets in the afterlife. So stay with me here to find out everything you want to know about what happens to your pet when they pass and how you can communicate with them to ensure that they're okay. I'm a spiritual healer and a medium, which means I have a very natural connection with the spirit world, and I've been working within the healing and spiritual world my entire life. When someone has gifts and abilities to connect as a medium for loved ones in heaven, it's exactly the same skill that's developed for connecting with pets in the afterlife. I love to help people like you develop your intuitive abilities so that you can actually be so much more aware of the love and support that you have in the spirit world at all times. I've had many questions sent to me, and I'm going to try to answer as many as I can right here in this video about pets in the afterlife and how to communicate with them. So let's start with this. When your pet passes, they absolutely go directly across the rainbow bridge. They move right into the light and they are in a pet heaven. People ask if there are loved ones that are human in this afterlife or if it's just pets. And to tell you the truth, I've seen a combination of both. I have connected with pets in the afterlife and seen them being well cared for by loving family members who passed before us. Even friends of ours that have passed before us, if they had a love for animals, they usually greet our animal on the other side. Much of the time, I actually see animals in park-like settings, running and playing with other animals. They play, they get along, they run, and they have a wonderful time. On the other side, there's not the time difference that there is in the physical world that we're living in. So when they pass and they're in the parks playing, they don't have any concept about how much time is passing. It's one long present moment. And they're in absolute joy because they're missing what us humans have is the ego. Animals are always living in the present. They're always filled with unconditional love, and they don't anticipate the future. They don't fret and worry about the future. I've never ever communicated with an animal and heard them express fear of death or worrying about when they will pass. Animals are by far and large living in the present moment. It is possible for animals to take on fears and worries that their owners project. If their owner is constantly worried and constantly projecting fear, it is possible for an animal to pick that up by proxy through the owner. In this case, it's very important for the pet owner to project love to your pet. And when you see them declining, you see them going through the natural aging process, it's important to stay in a positive mind state and not project worry and concern. It's important to provide comfort for your pet as they're aging rather than projecting fear of impending loss and filling them with dread and all your human emotions. Animals are very comfortable with the life and death process, and they only seem to really get filled with worry and stress when their owners are projecting those emotions. In terms of the afterlife with pets, they're greeted many times by our own loved ones. They play in park-like settings with many other animals, and they come around you all the time. When you have loved a pet and taken them into your heart, you form a very close psychic connection with your pet. And once they pass, they have left their physical body. They're in this wonderful world of spirit, and they're still psychically connected to you out of love. Love is the bond. So when you have loved an animal, it is very easy for them to reconnect with you from the spirit world, reestablish some sort of contact, and let you know that they're okay. Some of you have sent in questions regarding the way a pet dies, if it makes any difference. There are many people that carry a lot of guilt surrounding euthanasia of pets. And I'd like to ease your mind about that. Of course, it's nothing that you would ever take lightly, and I don't know one person that watches my YouTubes that would do that. Most people here are really hardcore animal lovers. When you're considering euthanasia for your pet, it should always be because their passing will alleviate them from the physical pain of a failing body. Now, this could be from an accident, a disease, and sometimes old age. But euthanizing is never the first option, but it most certainly is the most humane, peaceful option when your pet is experiencing a lot of symptoms of a failing little body. When you have decided to euthanize, I have another video that talks about some things that you should do as a family, making sure everyone's on the same page, making sure everyone's in agreement with the timing of it, and making sure that the animal is loved and supported and has the best day possible. But sometimes that's not always the case. Sometimes you're out of the area when your pet needs to pass and somebody else has to take that role. And in those cases, I would like to say that that is in divine timing. It is not that you have done something wrong. When you're not there and somebody else steps forward to do the euthanization process and take care of your pet this way, it's because the person that's doing this for you and the pet have a contract and they're simply fulfilling their contract together. So please do not feel guilt-ridden that you were not there and present for that passing. It was actually designed that way and pre-coordinated before any of these events even took place. As long as you are loving your pet and giving them the best care possible, you have always done enough. It's true that some deaths are more difficult than others. Sometimes our animals have a sudden traumatic death, like getting hit by a car, and we weren't expecting it. There was no long-term illness that we could start to prepare. All deaths fill us with grief to different varying degrees. Oftentimes, the amount you feel grief is equal to the amount that you loved your pet. Your pet does not want you to stay in grief. They want to see you happy again, and they want to see you loving somebody else. They actually come back in spirit because they want to check on you and see how you're doing, because they love you unconditionally in life. They make you laugh. They do these silly things. And when they're in spirit, they also want to see you happy. And they're coming around you to do these things, but most people can't pick up on the spiritual presence of their pet in heaven. They want to see somebody else be able to step forward and make you happy like they did. This actually brings them a lot of comfort on the other side. So if you are a loving pet owner that has lost a pet and feel that you just can't go through that process again, or you don't want to dishonor the pet that you've lost, please know that they're actually in support of you adopting a new pet to love. In fact, most of the time they're going to lead you right to them, or they will lead astray right to you, because they know that you have an open, loving heart and that you've provided a good home. And they know that there's a huge need for animals to find loving people to live with. Sometimes people ask me if their pets in heaven are sitting around waiting for them and if they will see them again on the other side. First of all, they're not waiting. They're having a wonderful time in one long, endless, happy moment. But eventually, when you pass, you will see them again. They'll be the first ones to greet you. They'll come running alongside with your other loved ones in heaven that have passed before you, and you will be reunited. It's the love that bonds us. If you have lost a pet and long to reconnect and establish connection in the spirit world, I'm going to give you some tips on how you can most easily do that. Sometimes there are some barriers to us being able to be receptive to the energy of our pets in heaven. One of them is a very, very heavy grief. Heavy grief does show up as a dark energy, a dull, vibrating energy. And when you're in this heaviness of grief, it is more difficult to connect with the spirit world and to perceive spiritual energies and love of any kind. Our own heavy grief can block us from the spiritual presence of our loved ones in spirit, including our pets in heaven. Although it's also possible that when your heart is breaking and you're crying and you're curled up and just taking that break from your busy everyday life because you're grieving, sometimes your heart is so open and so longing to connect with them that it actually does happen. The most prevalent time for your pet in heaven to make contact with you will be shortly after their passing. I'd be looking at the first 2 weeks when it is easiest for them to access the energy. It's easier for them to establish contact. They know how to find their way home, even if they were lost, even if they lived out of state. They know how to find you, and they know how to find their way home. So expect little things like sounds, familiar scents. Many people actually feel the spiritual energy of a dog or cat rubbing up alongside of them. They feel them snuggling in bed. When they're waking up, they may spot them for a moment. There are countless subtle signs from the spirit world. Subtle and not so subtle. There's some pretty big signs as well. But the most important thing is to pay attention to the connection that you had with your pet, because your own familiar bond with them is how they will most likely come to you. They won't suddenly show up in your home and do something odd that they've never done before. They'll do something that's familiar, expected, and recognizable, because they want to make sure that if they put this effort forward and they're using all this energy from the spirit world to make themselves known, that you're going to know that it's them, and that you'll be able to receive the healing that's meant to come from this spirit visit. The easiest way to establish a reconnection with your pet in heaven is through the dream state. What I tell people to do is intend to reconnect with their pet and to be able to have a conversation and see them one more time and ensure that they're okay right before they go to bed. This helps prepare your mind for what's about to happen, so that it's not just out there searching through all the data in the universe. It's actually going to be more open and receptive to the spirit energy that's trying to reach you. So setting that intention right before bed, just being open-minded about it, and being in a state of allowing is what helps you to have reconnection with a loved one in the spirit world through your dreams. Another thing that you can do is reconnect with your loved one through meditation. If you do not frequently meditate or you don't feel that good at it, it's okay, because it's actually very simple. All you need to do is close your eyes and relax. Take a few deep breaths in and out. This will actually release a lot of tension that you have in your body, which helps you to become more perceptive to spiritual energies around you, so you can actually feel it better if they come close to you and they rub up against your leg or they come near your aura. It just helps you to be more receptive to the spatial awareness around you. So taking those nice deep breaths in and blowing them out helps you become more present in your body and more aware of spiritual energies. You can also look at a picture of the pet that just passed, and as you're connecting with it, speak right out loud to it. I would love to see you. Please come and see me. Let me know that you're okay. And this is just really helping you to focus your energy and to get a crystal clear message to the spirit world that you're open and receptive to getting some communication from your pet in heaven. It is always helpful to get an emotional connection before asking to communicate. By emotional connection, I mean to get into an energy in your heart where you actually feel heart expansive. The best, most effective way to do this is to actually recall your happiest memories, the memories that brought you joy, the really weird or funny things that your pet did, or the moments that just had you laughing, or the ones that made you the happiest. When you're in that state of emotion and you're asking to communicate with your pet, it is much easier to come in and connect with you than if you're crying and blaming the vet, or blaming the person that ran them over, or blaming their illness or their pet food, or however else they passed. That state of blaming actually does not allow you to be very receptive. So however your pet passed, making peace with it and reconnecting with them just for your own comfort, to know that they're okay, is the best way for you to have ease with their passing and to be able to rebuild and move forward with your life. Now, I have to say, your pets are still connected to you. They will always be connected to you, and they will see you again in heaven. But there's something you need to know. Your pet, no matter how they lived or died, no matter what happened, does not have unfinished business. When they spontaneously connect with you in the spirit world through a snuggle, a purr, or even an apparition, it is not because They feel like they have to be with you still. It is not because they need you to apologize. It is not because they need anything from you. They're simply coming to make sure you're okay because that's how much they love you. So they're coming to ensure that you're able to move forward and that you're finding some peace with their passing, and they want to see a glimmer of hope that you're going to be happy again. That's the number one main reason why your pets make contact with you from the spirit world. When you're communicating to connect with your pet in heaven, looking at their picture, getting into some really happy, funny memories to increase your vibration and expand your heart and your emotions. This is something that's very, very strong. And remember how I told you that you and your pets have a psychic link? They feel that. They can feel that joy because they're familiar with that. They were the ones that made you so happy when they were living. So they understand this feeling the most. When you project that, it is very easy for them to come to you. And it's nothing that you should try to push too hard for, because mediumship is all about allowing. And everybody has different abilities, especially to connect with their own loved ones. So when you are just in a state of allowing and then being hyper aware of any kind of odd things that happen in your environment that clue you in that this may be a sign, a symbol, or an actual touch, smell, or sound from your loved one in the spirit world. Somebody else asked me if pets ever go anywhere else, and no, they don't. There is no dark place for pets. They always, always go to the light and are restored to their young, healthy bodies. I always see them as youthful and playing and full of energy and vitality. And that is the long, happy moment that they stay in and project themselves from. There is special care for them on the other side. Your loved ones are there, the angels are there, and God looks after the animals. So you never ever have to worry about your animals after they pass. It is only you that needs to focus on your own healing so that your loved one can come back and visit you. They always, always tell me that one of the things that makes them the happiest is seeing their owners provide love and a home for a new pet. So if you've been going through the grief process and you're not sure if you can ever do it again, just remember the joy that you were brought through the animal that you lost. And it's all about the joy. All of our relationships, even with people, are going to go through those emotions. They always say it's better to love and lose than never love at all. And it's absolutely true. Your physical body, your spiritual body, and your emotional body actually need this energy of love. Otherwise, we're living a half life. So dive in, take the plunge, and love somebody else. If you have lost a pet, find a new one to love. It is equally as good for you as it is for them. And your pet in heaven will be so happy and so relieved that you have somebody new to love. If you like this video, make sure to like it down below and subscribe so you get my new video every single Thursday. I love to hear all your questions and comments about the afterlife, and I would love to know if you have communicated with your pet in the afterlife, and if so, what kind of communication did you receive and what was your experience with that? Put that down in the comments below. If you'd like to learn more about mediumship, I have an amazing certification program that's available worldwide. It's an online Master Your Mediumship course, which will help you develop your own skills and abilities for increasing your intuition, your psychic mediumship abilities, connecting with the spirit world. Any skills that you develop for mediumship with humans are the same ones that you will be able to use with animals. So if that's of interest to you, make sure to check that out in the links below. Thanks so much, everyone. Have a great day.